Well, hello, Wendy Miller. Great to see you.
Absolutely, Rob. Great to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. This is going to
Yay.
be an amazing webinar. Team, we've got a lot of people booked in today. So what we're going to do is just do a little sound check, first of all, and get into this. So first of all, we are coming to you from Queensland, Australia. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be a bright, sunny day here. And it's 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, 4 p.m. in New York. Where are you from? So please type into the chat. We're going to use the chat today. So type in the chat, hi from. We already have a few people here. You got some fan club here, Wendy. Nice to see you again.
I know, we've got some friends here. I'm so excited. Old and new, which is fantastic.
Debbie Miller's here from Phases. Love Debbie and the team. We're clearly rocking it out today. Good. Wow, look at that. Ken and Gina. Ken, I remember Gina, man. And Ken, look at that. New York,
Yeah.
San Diego, Carolina, Virginia. SFWF, I'm not too sure where that is. Ann Arbor. We've got Stockholm. Hello, Johnny Bostrom. Always a regular on here from Stockholm. San Jose, Toronto. We've got North Dakota. We have got people everywhere. Do we have any Australians, Wendy?
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet.
No Australians. That's okay. All right. So, team, let's get into this. We're going to use the chat quite extensively today. This is an educational webinar. We're going to do it together. And this is our last webinar. We had 3 guests. We thought we'd start to unpack some of the secrets, our coaching methodology, and give you some stuff for free because we can't help everyone. So let me start by setting the scene as to how this all works and what happens. So first of all, what's that? Get rid of tax season like that. First of all, we are going to look at numbers improvement over the next 12 months. So this is one part of what we do as far as helping you to grow and develop your firm, but the output is an improvement in the numbers. So this is a result of averages over the next 12 months. Typically revenue, average 21% increase in the first 12 months. We start typically at 1.5 million is about the average size firm we start with. Profitability, because we focus on pricing and efficiencies and growing the firm as well, typically we can double profit in year 1. And then partner time, takes a little bit longer to actually reduce, but in year 1, we take it down by 20%, another 20 or 30% year 2 ongoing from there. So if you want some of that, simply put yes into the chat so I can hear that you're all attentive. Just put yes into the chat. Boom, boom, boom. We've got some yeses coming in. Great. Cool. All righty. Oh, got lots of yeses. This is good news, Wendy. This is good news. All right. So, team, let me give you an overview of what we're doing here on the big picture, and then we're going to narrow it down to what we're all about as far as today. So we have, and make no bones about it, an unhidden agenda. We are looking for 8 more firms to coach right now. We're nearly at capacity. We're going to do this at the end as well. And so as you go through today and start thinking about what additional help you need, this may be for you. If you're a firm that does more than $1 million in revenue, you've got 1 to 5 aligned partners, you're ambitious and you're coachable, then let's meet and see if we can help. So the meeting details are going to be on the QR code. That QR code is going to be through the entire webinar. So if you feel like, okay, we need some extra help here, snap on that, and we will actually work with you to see how we can help you. We can't help everyone. We have a limited capacity of how many firms we coach at any one time. I see, Julie, you're just shy of $1 million in revenue. If you're, 50 or 100 grand short, Julie, then certainly let's have a meeting as well, because you may be just about to tip over the edge. Now, why $1 million? Here's why. Our objective is to help you get to $1 million profit per partner while working less than 500 client delivery hours. You need to demonstrate to us that you can get to at least $1 million in revenue, and then we can help you take it from there. So that's the cut. If you are keen to actually get some help and to really kickstart this business of yours, then we can certainly help. Let me give you the overview. We call this the Profit Time Program, and this today is going to be one small segment of this. The objective of all the work we do, and we help you in 4 areas. 1 is content. So today is about content. 2 is coaching, where we coach you through the process. 3 is accountability, where we hold you accountable to doing what you say you're going to do. And 4 is going to be community, where you are working with other firms in our community to help each other out, right? So we coordinate that. So today's about content. So here's an overview of our content program. It's all about meaning, freedom, and lifestyle. The objective is more meaning for you, more freedom. By the way, these slides will be provided and a recording as well. So no need to ask for that. Right? So meaning, freedom, and lifestyle. Along the way, we track numbers like average hourly rate, efficiency, number of clients, average fee per client. We track revenue, profit, and cash, and what we call profit time index. And depending on how fast you implement and how effective you implement, because we are guiding you, not doing this for you, will determine how fast your numbers improve. There are 4 pieces to the content. There's the fixed piece, minimize, scale, and lead, excuse me. So under each piece, we have subsections that we go into depth on. So depth of pricing, for example, how to do price increases, how to price up front effectively. And you'll never know how many price increases you can have. Value pricing, we go into depth on how to price special projects, the language that you use, the templates that you use. Recurring revenue packaging, moving your business to a subscription business. We go into depth on how you introduce that to clients and how you even out your cash flow and theirs. Game changer. Managing scope creep and scope seep. Looking at all the work that you do, are you getting paid for that? Lock up production, making sure that your work in progress is cleaned out every single month and your accounts receivable are less than single-digit days, as in you've got very little to no accounts receivable, no cash locked up. Client mix, we work with you through a process so that you end up with A-class clients only, which includes, by the way, divesting yourself of some of your existing clients. Client service program. So the customer service program, where you are working with your existing clients to service them properly, not with the work, but with the service aspect. And a communication process. So we have a cadence of meetings and structure around, frequency and what you do with client communication. And so that's under the fix. Fixing effectively pricing, packaging, and client communication. Minimizing time dramatically. So to minimize time in the firm. Everyone moans and groans and bitches and moans about can't find enough great people. Well, and we even had people on this webinar, would you believe, say, oh, we don't want to go to a workflow efficiency webinar. We need to find more people. Well, how about you start with efficiency and workflow, because you may not need as many people as you think. So minimizing time, workflow management, which is our topic today. Client concierge program, which is a twist on something which I'll introduce later on in the morning or afternoon for you. Time budgets on all jobs, so driving time down. The tech aspect for the firm and your clients. Systems and processes, getting to one way of doing it. What's the learning and development program? Not minimizing learning and development, but minimizing time by learning how to do that. And then partner time. Partner time, where we have what we call the 30-60-10 rule. Partners only doing 30% chargeable work or less, 60% in sales, 10% in leadership. So minimizing time. We go into depth on all of those and structured process on how you minimize time dramatically. As I said at the outset, this is a content webinar. We're teaching today, and we're giving you basically the secret sauce on one topic only. Scaling. Brand development, making sure your brand is in line with what you're all about. Your client goals document. We've got this amazing process called a gap meeting, which is all about documenting your client goals and making sure your clients, are achieving and buying services that they need that helps them achieve their goals. Finding opportunities. We have a process where it has a 100% success rate when done properly of finding opportunities in existing work for your clients. Niche markets, deciding who are we going to target to grow the business. Lead generation, so marketing campaigns and programs to generate A-class leads. We don't want anyone else but A-class lead. Productization of services. Some services can be productized so that we can actually roll those out added value services to our clients. Sales process and skills. We teach you how to sell. In fact, we teach you how to sell face-to-face. We teach you how to sell on Zoom as well. There's a lot to what we do. And then when we come to the team, do we onshore the team? Do we offshore the team? Or do we outsource the team? Or all of the above, right? Again, our community and our methodology shows you how to do that very effectively. Lead, which is leadership, which is leading your team through the actual process of change, starting with vision, mission, BHAG, values, organizational structure, operational plan for your firm, a one-page plan, reporting, accountability, who's reporting to who are they accountable to, team culture. So team culture and team performance, making sure with the team that you've got, they're firing on all cylinders all the time. Themes and celebrations, and then meeting rhythms rounds it out. Wendy, there's a lot in that. What do we do? I just realized then there's a lot in there.
There is a lot. And this is why it's not just a silver bullet, click your fingers. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And, we typically say it's around a 3 to 4 year process. If you want to get every single thing right in your business, we're there for the long haul, much like a university degree. It takes that long to acquire that much knowledge and study and apply yourself. Same thing when you want to work on this business and take it to great new heights.
Exactly. So what we're going to do today, team, is give you one piece of the puzzle, which is all about the workflow management. Here we are, basically nearly, for our North American friends, we're nearly December, where we've got, a couple of months before it gets busy again. And we wanted to do this webinar for you and give you a bunch of clues that you can put into place now, right? And it never ends in 2 months, for example, which you've got the time to do it. But it's a starting mark to get more efficient for the February, March, April period coming up. So this is a gift. As we said at the outset, with our coaching, we can't help everyone. We say no every single week because of either size or whatever it may be. So this is a self-help. You can take this away and make it happen. So let's look at workflow. Workflow success is the topic. Here is the question. I'm going to ask this question at the start and the end and give you the answers in the middle. So we're going to ask the question at the start and we're going to get interactive with this. So the question is, right now, how much more efficient do you believe your firm can be? So this is a percentage of reduction of time of current work. So not a reduction of revenue, but a reduction of time. So just take a stab. You know your business, you know better than we do, of course, but based on what you see, I want you to put in a percentage number in the chat. So we've got some 20, 75, 50, 30, 40, 30 to 40, 15, 20, 20s. Wow. Somewhere between 30 and 50, 35% Darren, 50%, 30 to 40, 50. Okay, cool. I wasn't expecting this, but that's okay. All right. So Wendy, we've got some big numbers here.
I know. And I was just thinking, this is with what we know, with what we can see ahead of us. Once we start digging too, there's so much more to gain from this.
So team, with your number, 20, 30, 40, 50%, they're going pretty fast. We've got 195 people online right now. I want you to just write that number down because you may have an inclination what that number is right now, but you might not know how to realize it. What we're doing today is to take you through how you realize that, right? How you actually make it real. And I'm going to ask the question again, rather than, because right now, by the way, the answer to the question is a bit of hope. I believe we could achieve this, right? We hope we could achieve that. I'm going to ask you at the end the same question with some more certainty based on you implementing what you need to do. So let me just check something first. It's going to go off screen share real fast. Boom, boom, boom. And then back on screen share because I need to do that. Great. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Because we're going to do something here pretty cool. Never been done before. on one of our webinars. All right, so let's go. And I do hope this works, by the way, team. It may not. So first of all, let's get our heads in the right space, because you've got a belief that your 20, 30, 40, 50% could be more efficient. I want you to think of this business rather differently. And I want you to think of it, first of all, as a manufacturing business. You are manufacturing a product for your client. I read this book called The Goal by Eli Goldratt. And this got me started on the journey of efficiency with accounting firms. So this is a parable about a manufacturing company, and so many great learnings in here about accounting firms. It's got nothing to do with accounting, but when I read this, and I've been working with accountants now since 1994. So I started when I was 10. No, I didn't, right? I started when I was 24. And I read this book about maybe 5 or 6 years into my journey working with accountants. And I'm reading this manufacturing book, realizing after all these hundreds and hundreds of accounting firms I've been in, this is an accounting firm. And the big thing that came through for me was the theory of constraints. We're talking about, for you, getting 20, 30, 40, 50% more efficient, as in less time. And with that time, you can either reduce the headcount, work less days per week, or refill the capacity with new business and all profit there, right? So it's all good, right? But we need to think differently, and we need to think about the theory of constraints. What is constraining your business right now? What process, what person, what client, what clients, what processes, what people are constraining? So to introduce the theory of constraints, I am going to play a short video. This particular video, some of you have seen the movie, but 99% of you have consumed their product, right? So I'm not going to say all, because I know that some people not consume this product. This video is a short video from the movie The Founder. And it's a story about the McDonald's brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald, who started McDonald's in San Bernardino, California, but Ray Kroc found them and then expanded it dramatically. And in here are the clues to workflow. Let's see if we can make the video work. And someone, as this plays, because we don't normally play videos online, hopefully the speed at your end's good, my end's good. Just someone put in, yes, video's working in the chat, please. So let's go. Listen for the keys of workflow, and then we'll have a discussion about this when we come back.
Parker, ready and action.
This is the most remarkable restaurant I've seen in all my years in the food service industry, and I've seen it all. I want to hear your story. Here you are. How the heck did you come up with this?
Oh, I didn't. We did. Dick McDonald, my brother.
Hi. Boy, I gotta tell you, this is the most... Well, it's nice to meet you.
The McDonald's brothers, what those two boys created, changed everything. This changed everything.
Care for a little tour? Speed. That's the name of the game. The first stop for every McDonald's hamburger is the grill, manned by two cooks whose sole job it is to grill those all-beef beauties to perfection. Meanwhile, as the patty cooks, our dressers get the buns ready. Watch out. Burger crossing. Burger crossing.
Mac and Dick McDonald stumbled onto a new system to fix the ills of the drive-in business, essentially, which is what they were in when they started.
They're sort of the Henry Ford of fast food. So they developed this choreographed way that food could be made in 30 seconds rather than 30 minutes.
We wanted something different, and that's when my brother here comes up with one of his brilliant ideas. Tell him, Dick.
Orders ready in 30 seconds, not 30 minutes.
And you are gonna love how we did it, Dick. You gotta tell him.
Tennis court?
Okay. He brings me out to this tennis court, and he's drawn this line, the exact dimensions of our kitchen.
Sink on the right, extruder on the left.
Okay. And Dick is running around with this stick, marking where all the equipment should be.
Tuck in. Tony, are you gonna skip the pickles when we're really doing it? Yes. No. No. Catch up! Use your lazy Susan. and pickles and pickle and mustard.
The Speed D system is born, and it's off to the races. And we are an overnight sensation 30 years in the making.
What are you doing? There's time to lean, there's time to clean. Let's go.
They didn't just create fast food as we know it. They had to invent all the things that we take for granted that didn't exist back then. So one of the things they did was they created a little machine, like a flour sifter looking kind of thing, that they would just push a button and the right amount of ketchup would drop right onto the bun every time.
Now, where'd you get those?
We made them.
Made them.
Yeah, custom built. Home kitchen is.
It's a really incredible story because it shows you the excitement of this company at the beginning and what it must have felt like to stumble on this for a businessman like Ray Kroc.
A fresh, delicious burger from grill to counter in 30 seconds.
What they started, it really created the thing, except that Ray Kroc saw it and saw the future.
You don't seem to realize what business you're in. You're not in the burger business. You're in the real estate business.
The McDonald's brothers, their future went about that far. Ray Kroc's vision of the McDonald's future was endless, was boundless.
All righty, well, that was pretty cool. Tell me, team, what did you pick up? What did you pick up from that? And I think, Wendy, are you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Good.
You
Speaking
know,
of,
Rob, one
yes,
of the big things that that we've heard from one of our alumni, where they spoke about you're not in the burger business, you're in the real estate business. And we've heard this before too. We're in the marketing business, but we sell accounting services. And that's an interesting piece too, another topic for another day.
Exactly. So let's see what we've got clues here. Systems and process and order, standardization, consistency, the power of processes, repeatability. I love that, Andrea. Specialized roles, curate, team management. Look, the clues, team, the clues to your workflow are in that video. Think about the tennis court. The tennis court, and going back to the theory of constraints, the tennis court idea was all about eliminating the constraints. People in the right spot, friction of the movement, making sure that there was flow as well. And they were able to do that. And the thing about the objective here, the objective was from 30 minutes to 30 seconds. From 30 minutes, a 60 times increase in efficiency by doing it a different way. So what I'd like to hope that as we go through this, you're mentally thinking from 30 minutes to 30 seconds, from your time of workflow to the number you put down, or even more, less time achieved. And it's about removing the bottlenecks. Many of you got it right. Many of you picked up on the fact that it is about the one way. So some of you listening in have been in the military before. And in the military, there's only one way, right? No matter what strain of military you're in, there's one way to do it. So let's start with that. In McDonald's, as our example there, there's just one way to do it worldwide, 30-something thousand restaurants around the world. But in your firm, we look at the one way, and there's one way to do everything by every person. So you can often multiply the ways to do a task in most accounting firms by the number of people that are in the firm. Let's find the one way. Let's find the most efficient process for everything. In your firm, there are people implementing process that are very, very efficient. Let's work with them. How come you can do that so fast and accurately and not cut corners, and the quality control is great? Let's replicate you. Let's replicate that process, not just let people do their own thing. The one way, right? So there's one of the clues you picked up. Another one which you didn't pick up goes back to 1956, and that is all about Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law, in 1958, he said work expands so as to fill the available time for its completion. So for example, go back to the McDonald's, The old way was, I'll make it when I'm ready. And it took up to 30 minutes. They set the objective of 30 seconds. So they had a self-imposed deadline. These are all the clues coming out before we get into a very detailed process. They set the objective of 30 seconds. Did they always hit 30 seconds? No way. But they got it done. Like FedEx, for example. FedEx started for, was it absolutely positively overnight or something like that? You know, or you've seen the pizza guarantees, 20 minutes delivered or it's free, or whatever the time frame was, right? Self-imposed deadlines are one of the big clues to efficiency. Deadlines, this is why we have time budgets on jobs, right? Last year's job was 12 hours for this particular job. Let's set a maximum 8. People work to the time that they've got. What's the old saying? If you want something done, you give it to a busy person. Let's have a look at accountants. I've got a question for you. What do accountants do every day? How do they spend the majority of their day? And this is going to unpack the thought process around all of this. Look at an accountant's day. What do they actually do most of the day? Are they doing accounting work? Or are they checking and processing data? Checking and processing data. Client data, government data, checking and processing, looking for data. Why are they checking and processing during the course of the day? They're accountants. Sure, they're looking for clues, they're looking for mistakes, all of that, right? But if you look at why let me ask you a question, right? What percentage of an accountant's day, when they're working regular day, do you, and put a percentage in here, please, what percentage of an accountant's day is checking and processing data? That's the question. Pop it in the chat as a guess what you believe. 110%, right? 30, thank you, 50 plus, 95, 80, 40, 60%, 60, yeah, 70%. It's a big number. Reacting to requests, 60%, 40, 70, 65, 60%. Look, we haven't done a time and motion study on this, but your guesses are about consistent. 60 to 70 to 80% spent checking and processing data. Why? Why is the number so high? Comes down to 3 reasons why. First of all, at the client side, they have inefficient systems. The clients are using systems, doing some accounting work themselves when they're not accountants. So it comes to you and the client might as well have not done it because you recheck the whole thing and redo the whole thing. Why would you let your client do accounting work when they're not accountants? This is a very good question, right? So they're systems. They send you paper, they send you spreadsheets, they send you hard drive data, like data files of QuickBooks, for example. They're not using technology properly. They don't know how to use the technology. They've got big fat thumbs, right? Some of your contractor people, and they're trying to use these tools ineffectively. So the client work comes to you and you've got to check and process it. At your side, right, your systems don't interact seamlessly with the client systems. So consequently, there's a disconnect between the two systems. You know, so for example, how do you reconcile a paper-based or even PDF bank statement or credit card statement? You've got to manually put in. It doesn't interact. So we look at the second one. And the third one as to why you're inefficient, right, is that the government side, they too have inefficient systems, very inefficient systems. Now, we're not going to change that one on number 3, but we can change number 1 and number 2. We can change number 1 and number 2 to get a more streamlined system and process with your clients and with you so that your time can be minimized. And you put numbers in of 20, 30, 40, 50%, some had higher than that. I want you to think of a minimum of 50% efficiency gain, as in a reduction of time. So let's say you do 1.5 million in revenue and you've got $150 average hourly rate, therefore 10,000 client delivery hours was performed. 50% reduction means that 5,000 client delivery hours for the same 1.5 million in revenue. That's pretty cool. Your average hourly rate just doubled, and you've created 5,000 hours of capacity to grow your business or work 3 days a week, whatever you want. So I want you to think minimum 50%. And I've seen firms go as far as 80%, but 50 is very achievable, as in same for same, like for like, reduction of time. And you might be thinking, oh, that's just not possible. Well, I wanted to give you an analogy and a story about building a house. And so my friend Michael was coaching Australia's second largest home builder of the day. And their time to build a house was 120 days, 120, right? And so Michael's there 120 days to build a house from start to finish. He gets up in front of the executives and says, executives, how do we do it in 10? How do we do the, and what do you think they said? We're the second biggest in the land. What have you been smoking, mate? You know, we've got this sorted. We're 120. Client expectations, 120. No, how do you do it in 10? And they argued for a little bit. And then Michael said the following, look, I know it can't be done. But hypothetically, if it could be done, it's a true story. Hypothetically, if it could be done, what would we need to fix, stop, start, change, alter, redo, different system, different whatever, to make it close to being done? So he put them into a hypothetical brainstorming world. 2 hours of brainstorming later, flip chart after flip chart after flip chart, they're exhausted of ideas. Michael simply says to them as he points to the flip charts, just go and do that. And they did. And they didn't hit 10 days, but they did hit 42. To go from 120 to 42, what do you think that did to that home builder's cash flow? Through the roof, right? Customer service through the roof. Referrals of new business through the roof. Do you know the world record for building a home from start to finish is 3 hours and 26 minutes? In 2008, in Texas, on YouTube, go and check it out, world record, Guinness record, 3 hours and 26 minutes. So it can be done. And as we look at your accounting firm, your business, your workflow coming up, I want you to think about, well, no, it can't be done. But hypothetically, if it could be done, from 30 minutes to 30 seconds, from 120 days to 10 days or 42, I know it can't be done, but hypothetically, if it could be done, and this is where you brainstorm as a team. You take this learning, this content, play it to your team, and brainstorm, what else do we need to do? What do we need to fix? Like the McDonald's thing with the tennis court. What do we need to alter? What do we need to redo? What do we need to do? Have a different system for, different process, different whatever, to make it close to being done. Starts with that. By the way, I've used that particular thinking tool in all sorts of scenarios because you're blocked. Typically, you're blocked on progress based on history. Look, it's just always been busy, February, March, April. It's just always been busy. We always work 7 days a week. It always takes 60 hours. We never have enough people. It always takes us amount of time. Yeah, that's history. But if we shake out the history and go into the hypothetical possible world, and brainstorm like from 30 minutes to 30 seconds, then what would need to change to make it so? So I encourage you, team, to do that. We are talking about capacity. We're talking about reduction of time by being more efficient to get more capacity so that with that new capacity, we can just enjoy it, take time off, or we can grow the firm without growing the headcount. So I'm going to take you back a few years and the evolving of a concept and a role that changed workflow now in thousands and thousands and thousands of firms all over the world. So I was doing a workshop, on-site team workshop here in Australia. I had 22 people in the room, 3-partner firm plus 19, and small workshop. We're at the pub, would you believe? It was pretty low key. And I just threw it out to the team. I said, team, how can we get more efficient? That was the question. Quick as a flash, young lady in the front row puts a hand up. She turned out to be the receptionist, I found out later on. She said, take the admin tasks away from the accountants. Stop the accountants doing admin. I said, what do you mean? She said, I look at them all the time. They're doing admin work. I said, well, okay, let's work out what admin work they do. So we brainstormed for a bit. So tell me about the administrative tasks you accountants do on a regular basis that would consist, part of the accounting job, of course, but they'd be called administrative tasks associated with accounting. So we came up with 30 admin tasks that accountants regularly do in this particular workshop. So I'm going to run through the 30, then I'm going to ask you a question as to time. So for example, client additions and deletions, returning client records, typing of letters, any filing of any sort, electronic or paper, dealing with client and government correspondence, making and changing appointments, fee prep, preparing checklist information that we need, reviewing and checking client documents. That's a biggie. Number 10 is a biggie too. Contacting clients for any missing things. It's admin, right? 11, logging the job on the workflow register, a collation of any work papers, electronic or whatever, preparation of the first draft of a budget, monitoring the work in progress, lodgements and filing, workflow, advising clients of company reg, advising on provisional tax obligations, advising on income tax assessments, and on advising of tax file details, student loan family support statements, completing family trust minutes, printing and binding of finalized documents, checking accounting software, incorporation of companies, advising on 401k and superannuation documents, any company matters including forms, monitoring tax due dates, review and chase receivables, and systems writing and updating. This is wild, right? And this was a list that only took about 20 minutes to pull together. Let me ask you a question, put in the chat. For your accountants, if we look at the title of administrative tasks associated with accounting work, because all these tasks need to be done, and there's many more, of course. They need to be done, and they're part of the whole workflow of accounting, but by whom is the question. So the question I want you to put in the chat, the answer is, or you're going to answer it, the question is, in hours, how much time do your accountants on a regular accounting day, spend doing administrative tasks associated with the accounting work? That's the question. Pop in the chat. Let's see what you've got. 3, 2.5, 2 to 3, too many. Yep, 30 per day. 30 minutes. You must be very efficient. 2 to 3, 3, 2, 4 to 5, 2 to 3, 1 at a minimum. Cool. Got to sort it out. 75%. Wow. 2 all day, Sarah. That's their job. Anymore. It's a guess, right? It's very much a guess. 1, 2, 3, 7 hours administrative tasks associated with the accounting work. How much time are they spending? So you lost your admin people, now it'll be much more. Yes, it will, Sarah. So I'm going to take, Wendy, what do we look at that? So some have got this sorted, which is great, but most around the 2 to 3 mark, I'd say.
Yeah.
2 to 3. 2 to 3. Okay, great. So if it's 2 to 3, let's do the following mathematics. This is exciting. Let's say you've got 8 accountants. Every firm on here is different. You've got, some might have 88, some might have 3.8, right? And let's go with 2 hours of admin per accountant per day. Normally 5 days in the week. So that's 80 hours a week of admin through the accounting team. So we bring that down here, 80 down here. Let's say the shop is open for 50 weeks of the year. Let's say it's open for 50, just for the sake of the maths, right? That's 4,000 annual admin hours that the accounting team are doing. 4,000. If the average hourly rate was just 150, that is $600,000 of additional capacity that you could have if you hired more administrative people to do that work. So as a result of this work, 600 grand in this small firm, right, of and if it's been charged previously, it still gets charged. So these new people are going to be cost recovery at a minimum. Most of you have looked to hire accountants, and the employment rate of accountants is very, very high. 2-3% unemployed, 4%. Basically, everyone who wants a job's got a job. You're looking in the wrong place, team. If we think of a ratio of hiring more administrative team members, not more accounting team members, you see, most of you have not hired enough administrative team members because they're not chargeable, right? They're not chargeable people, but they can assist the chargeable people. Think of a ratio of 40% of your entire headcount in non-chargeable team members. In this case, if it is 2 hours a day, then the ratio is going to be 1 to 4. One of these team members, I'll give you the role and the title in a moment, one of these team members per 4 accounting team members. By the way, as they get more experienced, it goes down to 1 to 3, sometimes 1 to 2. So this workshop started, I threw it out there, and I said, okay, we've got the list of 30. We can see the opportunity here. We can see the time being spent incorrectly. Let's hire some admin. And that particular firm, 22 persons, 3 partners, 19 people. They had about 15 accounting teamers. Let's go and hire 3 or 4 right now. Let's boost the team and get the capacity, but boost the admin team. So the first role, the first title we called it was a client service assistant. Then we changed it to client service coordinator a few years later. About 5 years ago, we changed it to client excellence coordinator. And then most recently, a firm of ours we work with in Seattle, Trainer Smith, said, you know what? We're going to call them client concierge. We're going to call them a concierge team. And that, my friends here, is the best we've heard in a long, long time. So what we're talking about here, team, is process of workflow. The jobs have to be done, but by whom is the question. When we look at workflow, there are 5 stages. 5 stages of workflow. There's the preparation stage, there's the setup stage, the doing piece, the selling piece, and the internal piece at the end. So we're going to step you through 25-step process that works regardless of what, I'm going to big claim here because we're so far, I've heard from about 20 or 30 countries that have used this and all sorts of software. So I'm going to put this claim out. Regardless of the software that you use, and regardless of the size of your firm, and regardless of the location that you are, this process works. It is a process of workflow. It is a process of getting the work in and getting the work out in the most efficient time possible. Some of these steps are blended together, but all 25 of them need to be done. All 25 to be done. You will be getting recorded, Gina and team, of this particular session, and so you can play this again and again and again. That will definitely happen. So thanks, cool, Wendy. So 25 steps, 25-step workflow process. This is going to be an intense slide. So if you're on your phone, it's going to be hard, but if you're on a big screen, you'll be able to get through it. So this is years and years in the making, by the way, team, on a very, very efficient way to get work in and get work out. Step 1, we're going to schedule the work in advance using a calendar system. You turned up to this webinar today because you registered for it and it's in your calendar. Here you are. Why don't you send to your clients calendar invites as to when you expect their raw materials, when their tax payments are due, and when their meetings are, and you can do that a year in advance, 6 months at a minimum in advance. Most of the problem with workflow is that you've let your clients control the workflow. That's most of the problem. We're bringing it back. It's your business, not theirs. You are going to share. You're on this webinar on this particular date because that was convenient for us. We didn't poll you and say, hey, when do you want to do a webinar? No, we said this is when it's going to be. Those that turn up, turn up. And 202 of you are here. So who's going to do that? Well, our fulfillment manager and our client concierge team working together to schedule the year out. So when we work with our coaching firms, we are scheduled out typically 18 months in advance, all the regular meetings, not the ad hoc ones, but the regular meetings locked in. So we're locked in right now. We did this in about July to the end of December next year. So we said, right, that's where we all need to be at those times. Makes life a lot easier. Number two, meet with the client and scope out the value of the job. If it's not a regular job, might be a new project, we're going to meet either Zoom or face and scope the value. Here, the client manager and or partner will be involved. Ideally, we value price the job. We communicate in writing the scope and the price to the client. That's going to be the client manager. If there's anything about the writing piece, distribution piece of that file, that of course is the client concierge. The client signs off on the scope and the price and pays deposit a full amount, or they may be on a recurring revenue package. And of course, our client concierge team, our CC team, in that admin piece, right? Preparation. So the prep piece. Now we start to get busy. We've got our date in the calendar of when we're expecting the raw materials in, which means in advance of that, we need to, at number 5, send a checklist to say this is what we need. And we gather the raw materials on that date. Client concierge. Not an accountant. Number 6, we're going to check everything's received. With good internal systems on what to look for and knowing, checking that off, if we got it, if we got it, if we got it, the client concierge team can do this. The client concierge team can do this. It doesn't need to be an accountant. It is a checklist, raw materials in, are they here? Yes or no? Sometimes no, often no. Number 7, for the no pieces, we're going to contact the client for the missing bits and pieces. Client concierge, administrative team, 1-to-4 ratio for the accounting team. Number 8, we're going to update the calendar, manage capacity, and communicate to the managers about what's going on. Our fulfillment manager, our workflow manager, and our client concierge team to do that. We're going to log the job onto our electronic and visual workflow system. We're going to log the job setup. Client concierge, not an accountant. We're going to do a draft internal team budget in hours. So we have an hours budget on jobs. We're going to do a draft budget in hours. Client concierge, this is job setup, right? Number 11, we set up the electronic work papers, do some basic data entry. So we train the concierge team as to what data entry needs to be put in. Well, we can train for that. We don't need to be a 5 or 10-year experienced accountant for that. Number 12, we allocate and explain the job to the person doing the work. Of course, that's going to be the fulfillment manager, the workflow manager. And number 13, we're going to now, as a small team, challenge the hours budget down, lock in the maximum time, and book the client delivery meeting. What that means is we've got the raw materials, or the vast majority of them. There's still going to be some missing. We have on that date, we've got our doing time coming up, and then we're going to have our presentation meeting locked in as well, because we're going to present that to the client later on. Of course, that's going to be the client, fulfillment manager, and the concierge team. Wendy, before we get into the doing piece, I want you to go a bit deeper on the client concierge, because many, many years ago, when you used to work in accounting firms, you started your career in this role. Step us through it.
Yeah, Rob, I feel like I could use the same joke as you. It's been 23 years now, and I was introduced to this client concierge role back in 2002. Look, you know, a lot of people say, well, who is this person? Where do we find them? I would classify them as a higher level administrative role. Think like a paralegal in the law industry, you know, somebody that assists that high level technical person, but they don't need to have technical knowledge. What they need to have is a high level of organizational skills, a high level of attention to detail, an ability to please people, to serve people, that want to go out of their way to make people's day. You know, you talked about the client communication piece there, Rob. They're very good communicators. And if I had to put any one particular skill or experience over it all, I would say project managers. Somebody that has the ability to see an end date and basically reverse engineer the process of all the steps that need to happen in order to delight the client, in order to deliver on time, promises, that sort of thing. And the entire role can be trained. It is absolutely a role where you may have internal people already that are administrative experienced, reception. We've even seen some accountants who would actually prefer not to be accountants go into this role and do really, really well in it. Can be fully trained, does not need to have a level of technical knowledge, and can also be remote.
Absolutely can be remote. It's very systems, very process. We've had firms in the US have their client concierge team in the Philippines and or India. Totally can be remote. So team, 1 through 13, preparation and setup. Now we get into 14, which is we do the job. Accountants signed up to be accountants, not administrators. Accountants want to be accountants if that's what they wanted to be, right? But you've turned them into administrators by the process. If they had a packet of work, files or whatever, as complete as it possibly could be, not always complete, they can do the work. CEC is a typo there, Joel. It's supposed to be CC, client concierge. Thank you. I was waiting for
it's already fixed. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel. So they do the job, and the accountant's job is to do the accounting work and to find new opportunities for the client. That's the accountant. Number 15, we communicate regular weekly progress. So this one came from, because all these steps have changed over the years and added to by efficient accounting firms. So we're working with a firm in Tasmania, Australia. And we said, what's your workflow process? They said, one of the things we do is every Friday, we have our concierge team send an email to all clients with open jobs on the status of the job. I thought that was brilliant, right? So we're all this way through. Expected deadline is this. We're still missing this from you. Status update, right? Every single week. Again, the client concierge team. Love that one. Keep it rolling. Number 16, communicating technical queries to the client and finish the job. Now, as the accountants are getting into the job, there may be missing information, right? So the client manager and the accountant on technical queries, but missing information goes right up to number 7. Please go and hunt this down. But guess what happens here at 16? When the accountants are in the job, they go, I'll just rip off an email and try and find the missing bank statement from October last year. So workflow is now halted. Accountant sends email, expecting the client reads the email, opens the email, right? That's the first piece. But they've done their job. At number 16 here, the accountant believes they've done their job. So when it gets to the workflow meeting, accountant, where are we at with the Nixon file? I am waiting for the October bank statement of last year on this account. Okay, you're off the hook. You're off the hook, accountant. It is now the client's problem. Workflow meeting next week. Where are we with the Nixon file still? We're still waiting for that October bank statement. I'll send them another email. And they rip off another email, right? Expecting again the client reads it, understands where the bank statement is. Meeting number 3, 3rd week in. Nixon file's still not here. I'm still, damn Nixon, I'm still waiting on that missing bank. I'll rip off another email. And accountants love sending emails. They love it. They hide behind their computer screens. No. We're doing it differently. We've got that missing piece or missing pieces. It goes back up to number 7. Goes back up to number 7. And client concierge, we're missing October bank statement with ending code 3406. Can you please get it from Mr. Nixon, please? So first of all, instead of ripping off an email, concierge team have a different system. they make a call, right? They pick up the phone the way we used to do it before email. Pick up the phone and say, hey, Rob, it's Mary calling from XYZ firm. We're just in the middle of finishing off your accounts for the year, and we're just missing one piece for us to finish it off. It is the October bank statement, this account number for this year. Do you think you might know where that is? Look, it's probably on my system or in the filing cabinet. Okay, today's Tuesday. When could you get it to me? Because we can't complete your work until we get it. Look, I promise, Mary, I'll get it to you by close of business tomorrow, Wednesday. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to email you with the exact bank account number and when and with the deadline of 5 p.m. Wednesday. Is that cool? Yes, that's cool, right? So now we go phone, we go email. Wednesday rolls around, Thursday morning, nothing received. What do they do now? Well, the accountant would just rip off another email. No, we're going to phone them up again. Hey, Rob, Mary calling from the firm again. You promised it to me yesterday. Oh, yes, sorry, Mary. I'll get it to you straight away. When can you do that? By the end of the day. Great. You know where it is? I know exactly where it is. I just need to get it and get it across to you. Great. Okay. Friday morning rolls around, no piece of information. We call again. Rob, are you in your office? Are you at home, wherever you are? Yes, I'm coming around to get it. You see, the concierge team, not fire the client, Thomas. You wouldn't fire that client, right? The concierge team are more proactive. Just reacting to a missing piece by email is a very bad system here, team. We have to work out who does what. Yes, technical queries, but we have to follow through on the missing piece of information is the biggest bottleneck, the theory of constraints and workflow. Number 17, we review the job and fully understand these new opportunities. As I said before, we have a system called Finding Opportunities, and that system is all about brainstorming what else can we do for this client. Foolproof, when done properly, 100% success rate on finding potential new projects to help the client achieve their goals. This is a small team, client manager and accountant. There's 25 steps. 18, print, collate, prepare, final invoice if appropriate, file it away, right? Again, do not touch the binding machine if it's printed job. Client concierge does this, doing the work. Number 19, we're now going to meet with the client. This is selling piece. I'm going to please start loading your questions in, and we're going to answer them. When I get through this, we're going to answer them all at the same time. Meet with the client, present your job. This is an annual compliance project team. The majority of your revenue. Why would you just email it to them and not have a meeting? Why would you just put it into a portal and not have a meeting? You need to present your fine work to your client. Do a page turn virtually or a page turn physically. Meet with the client, present the job, explain the new opportunities, and sell the next job. Your clients have three main questions consistently on the back end of business compliance. How much tax do I have to pay? Why do I have to pay that much tax? And the third one, where'd the money go? This thing says I made a $250,000 profit. There's only $2,000 in the bank. What a great opportunity to present your work to the client and explain this to them. And if you follow our Find Opportunities process, then you will get additional business out of the same client. Client manager / partner does this. Ask for referral once a year, follow up. That's going to be the client manager. That is the selling piece at the end. The selling piece at the end. Then we get to we wrap this up. We wrap this job up, right? Number 21, update our systems with any admin notes, any file notes that we learned during the way. This again is going to be the client concierge. We're going to 22, schedule reminders for significant dates. What did we learn from this? What do we need to fix for next year? Client concierge. 23, we categorize the client types and set the next check-in date, which is in line with our meeting cadence process. Client concierge. 24, a flag for any industry updates and content. Client concierge. And 25, what team training and development opportunities client manager and the client concierge to wrap the workflow process up. 25 steps. Some of them, as I said before, are together. They happen at the same time, but they all need to be done. And look at how many of them are accountants and how many are the concierge team. You've got people in your firm right now who could be 50% more efficient, maybe more, by having a better process. This is a biggie. This is a game changer, absolute game changer for efficiency, for customer service, for referrals, for everything. Not just the work turns up from the client at the client's time frame, and you start at number 14. The work turns up in whatever format, and number 14 kicks in place, and we start doing the work. We start doing the work, and damn it, something's missing. Put it down, contact client, and wait. Pick up another job, back to 14, right? Pick up another job, damn it, something's missing on this one as well. Put it down, contact client, and wait. Pick up another job, contact client, and wait. Finally, missing piece from client A turns up some days, weeks, or months later. You pick it back up, and you go, where was I? You scratch your head, you put more time on the clock, and this goes on and on and on and on. Job, pick up, put down, job, pick up, put down, job, pick up, put down, pick up, put down. How many open jobs do you have at any one time? How many open jobs per person should you have at any one time? No more than 3. Open jobs at any one time kill workflow because you've got all this incomplete work. We're going to minimize the open jobs. We're going to minimize the administrative work the accountants do and maximize the efficiency with a better process. Wendy, let's answer some questions and let's bring this baby home in the next 28 minutes. We've got tons of time for questions. So let's have a look. You've got Q&A questions and I've got the chat questions. What's in the Q&A, Wendy?
All right, in the Q&A, we've got Lee has asked a question here, idea for effective system to keep track of missing items and responses and update list of items and responses received. Now, Lee, we don't get involved into what software that you're using or what the best recommendation for that is, but this goes back to what is your internal process. So if your current workflow tool, resource system has the ability to document client contact and also client notes, that's where I'd be putting that information. It's essentially a trail of the client communication. When did we contact the client? When did we, what did we request? As a client concierge as well, in previous roles, we also used a calendar system. If our objective and our KPI was to have missing information received back from the client within a certain number of days or within a time frame, we had our own self-imposed deadlines on that and used calendar to set the reminder with the notes in there as well.
Cool. Okay. Stephen, who is the client manager, high-level accountant or high-level client service excellence person? So client manager is going to be a higher-end accountant. Typically, as you look through the ranks of or titles of accounting, client manager is just below director and or partner. So you've got workflow manager managing all the workflow, client manager who's often the point of contact of the client. Could be a partner, could be a senior person, but they're the relationship holder, if you like. What else you got in the Q&A, Wendy? We'll answer some of these.
Awesome. So from Sarah here, if the concierge is remote, then they can't come and pick it up. So what other options do you have?
Of course, right.
I love these questions too, because when we go deeper on these questions, it's about the way that you brainstorm and build this role, right? It's business by design. So it's super important that at all stages in all of this, you remember the objective here. The objective here is to become proactive in your workflow process, not reactive. So if the concierge is remote, what are our options? Well, it might be first and foremost, by taking the first step in the way that we communicate our clients may actually eliminate the need to collect it. But hey, we could always organize a courier service. And it has been done, and I have done that in the past, to have a courier knock on the door and collect something.
There you go. There's always a way. Kevin, how many clients are assigned to each concierge and each manager? And what do you find is a maximum one can handle? Kevin, that entirely depends on the complexity of your clients. So, for example, if you are a personal income tax return shop, which are simple returns, then client concierge team can handle many, many hundreds of those, right? If you are a business shop, so there's no right or wrong answer to your question, Kevin. It really depends on the client complexity. Let's say you're a business shop and the average business fee is 10,000. There's complexity all throughout the year. You're going to have a different number per thing. But the key here is the ratio of client concierge versus accountants. And this is something that most accounting firms get wrong. I'll give it a little toe in the water, right? I've got 12 accountants. I'll hire one, the new Mary, right? The new CC. And so what happens is the accountants love the idea and they start dumping on poor Mary, and Mary can't keep up. And so the accountants take it back and I'll just do it myself, right? I'm just doing it myself. The strategy wasn't the problem. The problem was you didn't hire enough Marys to actually make it happen. So that is more important as the ratio based on the administrative tasks vis-a-vis the number of accountants you've got, if that helps. Next question, Wendy.
All right, I've got one here. Anonymous attendee. So we're not sure who you are. Can this system work for a single person office? I'm going to say, this is an old saying, but it's a goodie. If you don't have a EA, then you are one. So consider going back to Rob's formula there, where we looked at the amount of administration time spent by an accountant in a day. And if you are the accountant as well as the business owner and all those things, look at the additional time that you can save yourself in your highest dollar earning activity by having an administrator perform those administrative functions for you. Think about the growth that you can achieve when you free yourself up, the additional projects you can sell. Can this system work in a single person office? Absolutely. In fact, it's probably the next step you need to make.
Mary Beth, going to answer your question on pricing here. The question is, do you remind clients that their fee is increased by the amount of time it takes to obtain their information? No, you don't remind them that way. But let me give you an experience share as a client of an accounting firm. So after 13 years, 2 and a bit years ago, I switched accounting firms. After 13 years with the old one, switched to the new one. And most clients of accounting firms in Australia are on a monthly fixed fee. So I was on a monthly fixed fee for years with the old firm. New firm looked at all my affairs and said, we're going to pick the number at $770 for the main trading company. So there were 2 fees. This is year 1. At their best guess, fee number 1 was $770 for the trading companies and the personal income tax returns per month. Pretty simple affairs. And the investment account was $330, but we'll just deal with the $770 because this is the one that changed. So a year into it, once they got the hang of, and they in their engagement letter, they had the change order right to come back with a new price increase next year. So they did. They came back and said, Rob, based on what we've seen in the last 12 months and what you've got going on, our fee needs to be $1,210 per month, not $770. Is that okay with you? So whatever that is an increase, which is about 70%, I said, sure, that'll be fine. I'm a pretty efficient client. Technology's good. We use Xero, we use Dext for all receipts. Everything's electronic. There's no bits of paper anywhere as far as with the relationship with the accountant. But it was more so the complexity of, but there's still things they need, right? Information. There was the complexity of the work that they came back with a 70% increase. So you need to be tactful and not mentioning time taken, because time taken at your end might say you're inefficient. But there's a whole process, Mary Beth, around that we're not doing today, right? Just to give you some, okay. Debbie, when you have multiple people in this role, is it best to assign particular tasks or particular clients? Wendy, take that one from our friend Debbie Miller.
So again, what's going to work best for you in your organization? We have seen this where the CECs are assigned to a particular group of accountants. Maybe it's a team or a silo, so to speak. But the really important thing, if we're going to assign CEC to silos or teams, is that your CECs still have an environment to collaborate and connect as a CEC. Here we go. A client concierge team, Rob. We're still using the old language.
Yep.
So really important that those client concierges have their own forum and see themselves as a body, because we want consistency throughout the entire organization. Assigning particular tasks, that might be where you start to see certain strengths play out. There might be a client concierge that comes with different skill set and experience. I would consider that more to be a project function. And so it might be that a client concierge has a particular project under their care or their jurisdiction that they are looking after. But where possible, I would look to have all things equal. I have performed we have had a team, grown a team where one client concierge was what we call the front end process, where they took care of all of the incoming and communicated with the clients and the team members alike. And then we also had an outgoing client concierge who took care of all of the compilations and the filings and the communications at the back end of the job. And that worked really well as well. Again, those client concierges were cross-trained, the ability to cover each other's workload and step in and support each other when one's workload might have been higher than the other, and so on. So really important, again, no matter what, how you set it up, is that that group has that forum that they connect as a department, if you like, or a specialty inside of your firm.
Awesome. Question from Chris Nash. Do you mean to meet with every client, simple 1040s as well? And is that meeting happening during tax season? So Chris, so this is point number 19, meeting with the client. You would meet with the client at an appropriate time when you can actually deliver extra work. So during tax season, probably not. But you'd only meet with the clients where there are other opportunities that you could help them with. So for example, business clients could be structuring, cash flow forecasting, other projects, right? Personal clients, if you've got wealth management, if you've got insurance, for example, maybe they need to switch from, private to a company structure, you'd meet with them. You'd only meet with the clients where there's other opportunities for them. But a simple 1040, look, the future team, we often call them orphan 1040s, as they're not associated with a business. The future is not personal income tax returns that aren't associated with a business. Around the world, and we're privileged to see what's going on around the world. Around the world, governments are either improving their systems, Australia's nearly done, New Zealand's done, UK's done, improving their systems so that you don't need to file a personal income tax return. So think of that. All right, team, let's bring this baby home. And yeah, exactly, Chris. We're looking to find our orphans a new home currently. Good for you, right? There are businesses out there that will buy that group. So team, as we bring this home, conscious of your time, I promised we'd finished at 1:30. As we bring this home, I want you to think of the next steps. The next steps being with you and your team to take this 25 list, to take this methodology, and to brainstorm your process. Here's how you do that, right? You do that with sticky notes, a wall of sticky notes. Take out 25. Some people have already mentioned on here, you've got software that does some of those tasks. Take out 25, take our methodology, and work out, okay, based on that, where are we at? So we label them, right? In order. So what is the task or the step? And then who and or the role is going to do that? And you shuffle the sticky notes around on the wall until you come up with your process that you're going to lock down. Your process that you're going to lock down. Now, team, our objective is to reduce time dramatically. Dramatically. I'm going to ask you the question pretty soon. When I've done live workshops and or live webinars, I ask this question at the outset: how could we reduce time dramatically? And I get the same 5 answers all the time. Same 5. Number one, gather all the information before starting. Number two, if we had self-imposed deadlines communicated to team and clients, we could reduce the time, as in not leaving it to chance. Number three, if we had one job at a time, maximum 3, and uninterrupted time. I've got all the work I need, all the materials I need. I've got this deadline, clients coming in at 3, leave me alone. I could reduce the time dramatically. If we systemized and productized everything that we've got the one way, we could reduce the time dramatically. And if we improve the technology mix between client and firm, we could reduce the time dramatically. So team, back to the, if that is, and I've asked thousands of accountants this question, right? How could we brainstorm? If those are the 5 answers, back to the house, just go and do that. Now, the question I asked at the start is the same question I'm going to ask at the end. And we're nearly finished, right? More time for questions as well if we need to. Now with some certainty, look, when I asked this question at the start, it was, we think we can. But now with some certainty, by implementing what we've just gone through the last hour and a bit, what percentage of time do you believe you could reduce this coming year and years ahead? Please pump in a number into the chat, please. Percentage of time, reduction of time. How much more efficient? Got a 50, 88, 30, 30, 30, 15, 50, 30, 40, 25, 75. Wow. 40, 50, 35, 30, 35. We've got some big numbers here. This is awesome. After an hour and so of education, by implementing that education, 40, 50%, 35%, you could reduce your time dramatically. But now, team, it comes to implementing. To know, it's an old proverb, right? To know and not to do is not to know. To know and not to do is not to know. What is the point of listening to this, and hopefully listen to the recording as well, with your team over and over, and not do it? You're just wasting everyone's time. You're wasting your time. To know and not to do is not yet to know. So we want to encourage you to transform your firm. Transform it. As a result, this is one piece of the puzzle, team, but it's a biggie. Right? It's a biggie, and we've got a whole education series over the next 14, 15 months on topics. And this topic, we're not going to repeat it, at least this year, or sorry, next year. This is a topic of education. If you want to transform your profit, if you want to transform your cash, your revenue, transform your team, transform your clients, transform your lifestyle, transform your wealth, transform yourself, there's 3 pieces to the puzzle: accountability, learning, and sharing. Today is content only. And you will get a bit of a burst, right? You'll get a bit of a burst as you come out of this webinar, take the recording, work with your team, a bit of a burst of efficiency. But then it typically peters off. It peters off because it's not ingrained, it's not taught, it's not part of culture, you haven't got all the systems and processes, et cetera, et cetera. So with our help, we want to help you transform with all the how-to, all the tools, all the implementation support. From today, you've got a choice. You can do nothing. That's entirely up to you. Nice webinar, got a bit of feedback, we're on the right track of that, but we'll do nothing more, right? You can do a little on your own, for sure. Or with our help, we want to help some of you to transform your firm with coaching, how-to tools, and an implementation support process. So to set the start, we have some capacity right now, our unhidden agenda, to help 8 firms. 8 firms right now. When I say right now, don't use the QR code and book a meeting unless you're ready to get started right now. I'll explain all the detail about how that help works. But if you're ready right now, there's a lot we can do to get you going. What we do in tax season, we have a different process during tax season for our American friends, and grow this firm dramatically. So if you are right now more than $1 million in revenue annualized, 1 to 5 aligned partners, because it's a whole of firm change. If you've got partners that are not aligned, then sort that out first. You're ambitious because we want to help you get to more than $1 million profit while you're working less than 500 client delivery hours and improving the capacity and building the business along the way. And if you're coachable, you take it on. We only want implementers. Then let's meet and see if we can help. So scan the QR code, and from there, we'll have a meeting. We'll see if it's a fit or not, and then we'll see if we can help you or not. Team, that brings us to the end. We've got a few minutes still to, if you want to ask more questions, then we're more than happy to help. But I hope you enjoyed that, team. I hope you enjoyed really seeing what's possible. I want to see you get that 20, 30, 40, 50% improvement in efficiency. And so we thought we'd give you some of the clues. This has been pretty cool. Wendy, any final comments, any final remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I just love workflow, right? If you get into workflow in your business, I think the overarching piece in this is that we're going from reactivity. And if we're really honest and you think about all of the ways that you're working with your client work right now, most of it is reactive. The phone rings, the emails come in, the work comes in when the client's ready. It's all reactive. So the biggest underpinning of this is that we're going from being reactive to proactive. And the basis of being proactive is in clear communication with our clients. And so if you think about those things, and then we're clearly communicating, clearly articulating outcomes and objectives, everybody's on the same page. It's best outcomes for your client. Your client gets the opportunity to say, this is great, or that doesn't suit me, or what else can we do? You get the opportunity to also negotiate those things. It's all about the proactivity. And the best thing about workflow, when we get a handle on this, is that we are touching all areas of your business. You know, absolute, first and foremost, client delight. You will have raving fans. And we know that raving fans constitutes those more referrals and growth in your business, right? You'll also have better relationships with your clients. When we talk about that selling phase, you know, the ability to say to a client, what else? How else can we help you? Because when you're being proactive, you're thinking about the future, not reactive, looking at a bunch of historical data, right? So we've got that opportunity to strengthen client relationships there, grow more value for ourselves and for our clients in that process. And every step along the way is improving your business and your team. Your team are getting the opportunity to be the best that they can be. Your clients are getting the opportunity to have the best outcomes that they can have. So we're touching all areas of your business. It's workflow and pricing would definitely be the two heaviest lifted areas in your business, but they are worth it. You get into it, you do it once, you do it properly, and it will be with you there forever. And you can totally leverage on that.
Awesome. Hey, team, really appreciate you. We've got lots of lovely things being said here, which is great. We've got a whole series of content coming towards you, education. For some firms, we can help directly. Wendy and I both work together with you. So this is a very hands-on approach. And as Colin said, Colin's from Netherlands, take the opportunity, take the coaching. All the best, team. Looking forward to meeting some of you, looking forward to working with some of you. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this particular session on workflow, setting up for a great 2023. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all those great things coming up. See you again soon.